What's up, Verdian? All right, let's get this show started, fellas. Hello, and welcome back to another E3 edition of The Cursed Checkpoint from HorribleNight.com. It is Thursday, June 13th, 2013. I'm your host, Justin Lacey. Joining me this evening to help me wrap up E3 2013 is Aaron McNeil.
I dropped the mic.
Or would you rather drop or toss it?
I want to hold it, but
I think
I've got poor grip. I dropped it.
And Ethan Moses.
I'm gonna hold on to my microphone. I don't want to buy a new one. I already had enough webcam
It's a really
issues,
nice
so-
microphone.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna leave be.
So tonight's episode, we're just gonna look back at the entire show and talk through our games of the show. Some must-buys, some games we're not too sure about, and maybe even some disappointments. And then we'll close the show with some advice to Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and look forward to some predictions for E3 2014. But let's get rolling. I haven't really talked to Aaron a little bit. We had some live chats going on throughout the press conference day on Monday, and so I kind of got some of his reactions through live chat, but I haven't talked to Ethan at all about this was kind of, we made you dive deep into E3 this year, and you look a little worse for the wear, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say this is the first year I actually... I had the opportunity to pay attention because I'm home for most of the day, so yeah, I'm tired. It's exhausting. I couldn't imagine covering it actually at E3. I kind of made a comment to after one of the press conferences after the Battlefield 4 when they shut that off during the Microsoft press conference, and people booed because it kind of didn't go well.
Yeah.
And I kind of made a comment about how there's some journalists that would actually enjoy to be at E3 that would actually behave.
Yeah.
Like mature adults, but then I realized, by today, I mean, I'm exhausted. I'm like, maybe I don't want to go there.
But on day
maybe it's fine.
On day one, you might have been able to behave yourself.
Yeah. Day 4, no, I'd just be drunk. Like I'd be drunk, and I mean, right now I'm all sneezy, and that I'd probably be sneezy, and it probably wouldn't be a good thing, but exhausting but exciting. Hello.
I don't have your Hello Kitty cup of water. Mommy has it.
I would have been like that at the end of day one.
Yeah, I was going to say I drink a lot of water. I got my water right here.
Did you guys steal her water?
I did not.
Okay. So if you guys... I'm going to kick you off the show if you stole Lily's Hello Kitty. I could be in trouble for that for a long time. So, moving on to the games, Ethan, I'll let you pick where you want to start. Either disappointments or your must-buys. Good news or bad news. So.
I want to go ahead and I want to be positive towards the end of my talk. So let's go ahead and get the disappointment out. I really wanted to see Fallout 4. I mean, that's kind of like not an actual game that it didn't come out, but that's I wanted to see that. So that was like the big. I'm just gonna get that out. I wanted to see something. The Mad Max trailer. Actually, a lot of people pointed this out. Pissed me off to no end. Pretty indifferent about Mad Max.
I didn't even think about
but
that.
It looked exactly like a Fallout 4. Same body armor,
well,
because the body armor in Fallout was kind of molded after that. But
did you try to convince yourself like I did? Like, well, maybe it's okay that they put vehicles in Fallout, because like when that showed up, I was kind of on the Fallout 4 train, and then...
Well, I was like, that means that the world is even bigger. That you just can't walk. It's like horses in Skyrim. It's like, you gotta find a way to get around, a more reasonable way to get around. Everything else was huge scope with all the other games. So I was like, with the next Fallout game, they have to go big. Boy, was I disappointed when that trailer kind of came to a close. So. I mean, that game doesn't look bad, but
I was going to say, how do you feel about Mad Max?
Sorry, I don't want to be offensive to anybody, but I had my expectations. I think the big disappointment for me, and I don't know why I held on to this mentality, because clearly the folks behind Call of Duty just do not understand that they needed to do something a little bit more different, I guess, this year. Black Ops 2 was a stretch in terms of some of the additions they've made, but Ghost seems like a step back to me. The dog is really neat, sure, but I mean the game still looked pretty ugly. Gameplay looked pretty ugly.
I couldn't get a sense.
And the fact that he stepped out of the universe is what I was kind of more upset about than anything. Like I like my characters from Call of Duty. If I'm going to play a single player campaign, I know Price is the only one. Spoiler alert: the only one still alive at this point. But I don't know. That was a little bit disappointing just because I thought it was going to be a revelation. I thought they were going to introduce something huge to make people be like, oh, okay, here we go. But they didn't.
I thought that. I guess I assumed with Modern Warfare 3 that they had wrapped that up, and honestly, Infinity Ward as a studio kind of needs to move on from that particular universe especially for this new team to kind of carve their own niche. But I'm not sure that somebody said all these dog trailers are doing for me is making me want a was it Dead to Rights? Is that the
Oh yeah.
And they want another Dead to Rights game. So
that was a good game. That was a good game. Well, I just there's not just in addition to that, with that kind of character side of things, which I understand. Modern Warfare 3, kind of painted yourself into a corner, but I don't really fully understand what's happening in Ghosts. I like the idea of the you being like the little guy in this situation. I like that, but I don't know. It seems, and I'm getting this weird feeling that they're going in this kind of sci-fi direction. I just have this impression of it. But I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping that there was going to be something big and they were going to alter things, but they didn't. And whatever. Yeah. I mean, I should be disappointed. I do think I do want to predict it because I was pretty good on predictions last year. So I do want to say that I think this is going to be the year that Call of Duty sees a loss in sales, dramatic one.
Oh, dramatic one. I think
dramatic one. Yeah, I mean, Black Ops 2, I believe, was a step down from Modern Warfare 3. I think this one's going to be big, and I think this is going to be the year that they actually have to change things, completely for next year. So that is my prediction for right now.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, with some of the other games that got revealed, Call of Duty did not make any sort of splash, and like you were saying about the tech. I couldn't tell if I was watching it on a next-gen system, and that's not really a good thing.
Tech looked like shit.
They're just porting the old tech and trying to bring it up.
They made modifications to the system. They didn't. This is not a new engine. I mean, the claim is it's a new engine. That's not a new engine, and actually, it's been revealed that it's not a new engine. It's again they've altered it. And again, I'm not going to sit here. I don't know how to make a game engine, but I think, and this has kind of been the theme of this E3. I noticed more so than anything is that there's a lot of talk. There's this talk. They're being wordsmiths with all this kind of stuff, and they're saying things that it's not like they're lies, but they're just like they're manipulative enough to kind of be offensive, And I think, and that's one of the ones that kind of stood out to me is that you see the game and you see the gameplay. This isn't new tech. Like, come on, guys. Like, come on. We're not stupid. I mean, most of us. I mean. It's like this is the point where we finally realize that the demographic is, 25 to 35 or whatnot. 25 to 35-year-olds aren't stupid. We're not kids anymore. If you want to keep, this illusion that, we're that dumb, then you're going to have to deal with all of the nuts that say that, things should be regulated more, So, I mean, I don't know. It just annoys me. I felt like I was really talked down to this E3. I mean, that's not,
in a way,
not a huge deal, but I was like, it's just ridiculous.
I don't think
I'll go into that more on some other topics.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of them really spoke as humans during the show, during any of the press conferences, like more so than any other E3 before this. Like, I think that's why we got so excited when some of them started showing some human qualities, or hell, you got excited when things started glitching, and you get some human moments out of those presenters. So, Aaron, what was one of your disappointments?
One of my disappointments, and maybe more minor on the side of disappointment, was what we got out of Killzone, and I might be one of the few people that's actually played. I played 2 and 3, and I didn't think 3 was all that great. But but after that big demo that Sony gave, that way too long demo of Killzone before, we got maybe the most bite size of here's a guy sneaking around, cloaking around, maybe doing more interesting things than that longer demo, and then it was over.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I supposed to be excited about new Killzone, or I just don't know. It looks nice and shiny. It's doing some maybe things that you can't do on the PS3, or at least you can't do that well, but it's still a first-person shooter. That long demo, it's still, run here, shoot this guy, do some Far Cry 3, jump down on something, but because it showed more stealth and interesting, sneaking through the jungle. Give me the Crysis 3 that didn't work out.
I mean, at least it's not a numbered kill zone, but
yeah.
And maybe I've been out of the Sony fold long enough that maybe I don't understand the Killzone fan base and how big that actually is, but like, I still can't. I feel like they've got a good foundation there, but let Guerrilla Games do something new with it, and don't automatically make it a Killzone.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is a franchise they have to like hang their hat on, and they had a chance to move on, and it looks like they're going to try new stuff with Shadowfall at least, but
it's hard to tell. It was so short.
I mean,
but
with this and Ghost, like just the straightforward shooters now, like I said, with some of the competition that's out there, they are even more underwhelming than usual, I think.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. I mean, I kind of felt like it's really strange to me that Killzone could even be considered a marquee type title, because I mean, when they showed it off at Jimmy Fallon and stuff like that, you're like, why? I mean, why is when compare like before E3, okay, I get it. Graphics look good, yada yada yada. But I mean, the amount of scope that was presented in E3 this year just makes those games look ridiculous. Like they don't even look appealing. I mean, anymore. Like there's so much more going on with all the other games, and again, this is going to be the year that people have to stop, blowing their load on the graphics and stop thinking that we're impressed with graphics and actually put content into games beyond just walking down the hallway and shooting stuff. I mean, and this is coming from a person that enjoys single player Call of Duty games, but I don't know if I could do another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think I maybe past that.
It's all about the depth and attention to detail. Like, we'll probably talk about The Division later, but that was kind of my next gen moment, was just some of the little subtle stuff in there, and there's none of that. It's just paint by numbers for Call of Duty and Killzone at this point.
Well, the fish. I mean, there's fish.
There's fish and dogs.
Artificial intelligence, which was the stupidest freak. Did we already talk about this? Why do I feel like we already talked about this? Or did we talk about this during chat? Yeah, it was probably during chat.
Invite chat.
Fucking ridiculous. Again, that's the other thing. It's like, we're not stupid. We don't give a shit about fish unless it's a fishing game, and that sounds awful. So just
they're just barrel scraping for features that they can get you hyped about, and it's the most stupidest stuff. Like, who in the right mind gets excited about fish AI?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like maybe 5 guys that like really got a chub on that. They were like, "Oh, you kidding me? Finally, that's what I've always wanted from a Call of Duty game."
Fish Club.
Yeah.
And 4 of them work at Infinity Ward.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're the guys, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we finally got to live out our dream." So, oh man,
what a weird dream.
Yeah.
Fish are so majestic.
I'm kind of curious if you had any disappointments in as far as something that didn't show up that you thought would show up.
I don't know. I keep going throughout the year forgetting exactly what's even coming out until they remind me that it's coming out. And so I guess some things got more spotlight than others, but I don't know if there's anything that was actually missing that I was excited about. I had to look through a list to even find out what am I excited about. Remind me, because it's so easy to sit and be cynical from a distance. Although I thought this would have been a good E3 to actually go to, just because of the consoles release and that Sony moment. To be in the crowd during that Sony moment,
run up on stage and give Jack a big hug.
Yes, I've been like, thank you.
Yeah,
I would have handed him the mic and taught him how to drop it and everything.
Yeah.
My disappointment's kind of tied back into I assumed Nintendo would show something Metroid related. I want to know what the hell is happening to that franchise, and the fact that the double reveal that Retro Studios is not working on that game because they're working on Mountain Dew flavor of Donkey Kong Country.
Tropical Freeze.
Jeez.
They serve it at Taco Bell in the summertime.
And like, honestly, I was really excited for Donkey Kong Country Returns when it came out on Wii. Like, it had been, long enough for another Donkey Kong Country, and also, good on Retro for getting to try something different. But and then they did the remake just recently.
Yeah.
You don't need to make another one. Like, it just...
That is baffling.
Or do something different with Donkey Kong. I thought we were okay with being done with Donkey Kong Country, but apparently not. So
yeah, Nintendo, it struggled a little bit. But they felt really secure with saying that they're making the games that people want, and so I guess if they're happy with that demographic. But I mean, did they show anything new this year except for announcing the Wii Fit Girl and Super Smash Brothers? Was there
What's
anything
that?
new?
That's
Donkey Kong.
superhero thing.
What's that?
There's like a Wonderful 101 or something.
That's
that
been
was
announced for a
last
while,
year.
though.
Yeah.
Like Donkey
I didn't
Kong
know
Country was their big reveal. Like that was the one that hadn't
That
announced.
was the big thing? Oh.
Why they're so disconnected? Why? Oh my god.
And yeah.
I don't know why that annoys me. I don't even like Nintendo. Well, no, I do like Nintendo. I'm cheering for him.
Yeah, I mean,
we're seeing the demise of Sega. It's not going to happen like that, obviously, but they're close. I mean, there's a disconnect. They're off on their console releases. Their demographic, their targeted demographic is kind of wonky. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of sad. Mm-hmm. And see Mr. Miyamoto, he's so excited, and he's you don't know what's happening, buddy. Mm-hmm. Your sales aren't looking good. I mean, he knows that. I'm sure he knows that.
They keep him in a box.
Yeah, he's like, no, we're doing so good. I don't know why he sounded Italian in that situation, though.
The kids like Mario.
Yeah, they do.
And I don't know why at the the next gen year I was kind of hoping that Sony would have more to say on Vita. I just thought that the integration that they're doing with the Vita and the PlayStation 4 and kind of the expanding PlayStation Network library, that there be more of a focus on that. And they kind of just skimmed over it with hey, also Walking Dead is coming here too. And although was it Tearaway?
Tearaway, yeah.
From
the
Media Molecule did look pretty cool, but they didn't push it at all, so I was kind of surprised about that. And then I think the big disappointment for me was, as far as games that were shown, was what Rise Son of Rome ended up being.
Holy shit.
Only because I thought the graphics and the presentation and just, yes, it was a D-Day knockoff, but it was, the atmosphere was super cool. And the possibility of Sword and Shield's Roman soldier game could be awesome, especially if you get the combat system right. And yeah, I mean they didn't. Yeah, I guess it's not as much of a quick time event as I thought from the demo. I guess all the button prompts were for finishing moves, but still it looked clunky and not fun and boring. And it could have been great is all I kept thinking while watching that. So it was really frustrating.
Yeah.
At best, that demo was just piss poor, and it looked like a subsection that Heavy Rain might have introduced. Let's play games like Quantic Dream wants us to play games where this is just playing out a very specific way. Press the buttons and watch the guy swing his sword, stab a dude in the neck. But it was.
You mean Ellen Page? No.
Yeah, watch Ellen Page stab Romans.
That's what that trailer was missing. Was Ellen Page? Maybe.
She comes later. It's a surprise.
In all the interviews for that, the game's director kept referring to. He never referred to the character's name. He referred to it as Ellen Page, and
she wasn't named yet.
I was like, you might want to get ahead of that so we know what the actual character is called. So, all right, that's all the bad news for now, right?
For now.
Give me a highlight, Ethan.
Oh man, The Division. This is an E3. This has been a year, 2 years. It's been 5 years of the apocalypse. Most of it zombie related, but for the most part, there was some sort of supernatural aspect to the apocalypses we've dealt with. This was a really interesting take on the apocalypse. More of a societal breakdown as opposed to monsters and nuclear fallout and whatnot. But when they said it, it was like a flu. I was like, Tom Clancy doing a zombie game. They avoided that. Again, I like zombie games, but I really like what they did with it. I just think that game was what impressed me the most. That was the game that was like, okay, someone's getting it. I don't usually like Tom Clancy games, but I like the kind of the concept of being the last remnants of order in a in the fall of society. I liked how there was kind of a seamless transition. Now it looked like from the gameplay, and I know that was rehearsed. There was a seamless transition between player versus player and just like the single player co-op. It seemed like people could just pop on, and if they saw you were there, they could meet up with you. And also another feature that I saw that was awesome was that with mobile devices, you could actually control drones and that kind of stuff to help your buddies. And actually in the demo, you saw that happen as well. But the thing that got me the most was the atmosphere of that game was unfreaking real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the city looked great. I mean, it's New York City, so they've done a really good job of capturing that. Love the wintertime theme. That's not usually something that I mean, you talk about going in the opposite direction of the apocalypse. Like, I'm used to dust and sand, and that wintertime, it was dreadful looking, and it was a pretty solid setting. But I mean, just everything about it and the little attention to detail. The guy's walking by that police car and shuts the door, just ever so slightly. The way the glass, takes bullets, and there's just so many little things. But I think it looks like a type of multiplayer that could be really, really fun and really feel a little bit more realistic as opposed to just hopping in and out of waiting rooms and stuff like that. I mean, you're walking along, you're trying to find supplies and whatnot, and oh shit, you see a group up ahead of you. I mean, that seems kind of cool to me. So, but I wonder how they're going to kind of control that because again, with you got the War Z and in DayZ, people just you don't want to be in a situation where people take pot shots at you and all you have is people sniping new people. I'm sure they've worked that out because they're a much bigger company. But
I guess I got the sense that it almost had a. It may not have been directly an instance, but like they were doing the mission, and then there was almost an open world setting around these buildings that maybe that could be PvP areas where people can mess with you. So hopefully they find a balance for that. But like that, what this game kind of revealed for me was two things about the next generation. Kind of alluded to it earlier, just like the little graphical details, the little extra animation things that they can add, like him sliding along the car and closing the door that was slightly ajar, the kind of individual bullet holes through the glass of the cop car. Those little things really stood out to me. And then, like I said, with the fact that it is an MMO on consoles and just how they're going to play with getting other players involved, and it just has a larger scope than even the thing that we compare it to most directly is Defiance. Seems to be the only one that's kind of tried to do something like this, especially on consoles, and it just you start to see the limitations that they ran into by putting it on this generation. That the Division and other games will have a little bit more freedom because they just have, they have more power to work with to be able to keep track of more of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know. There's a lot of layers to that, and again, that's the other thing is there's a lot of depth, a lot of layers to these games, and that one just came out. I didn't even hear about it. Did you guys even hear about the Division before this? I mean,
no,
was this a big?
No.
Yeah.
But going into the Ubisoft conference, I heard rumors that they said they had another Watch Dogs-like reveal, and that's very true. In that it was one impactful, and two had an intro that no one was interested in, was way too long and way too complicated, and also painted this really dire depiction of the future of the United States. Aaron, how about one of your highlights?
One of my highlights, and I've kind of drifted away from just these competitive shooters, but I don't know, watching Titanfall just kind of really, it got me excited for the kind of shit I tend to avoid in just first-person shooting. Like, I don't want to get into these environments where everyone's so competitive and this guy's going to snipe me from across the map. But when you drop giant mechs from the sky and you can just climb in there and it beats the crap out of people left and right, I was really interested, and I mean, I'm like, I hope my PC can run this.
Yeah.
I think in that trailer, what did it for me is I feel the exact same way as you, Aaron. Like, I'm not into the competitive games at all.
Yeah.
But to see the transitions in combat between out of the mech, in the mech, and then on top of the mech, shooting into the mech that was like just fucking unreal. And I was like, man, this is what we're talking about is is the next stage of gaming. You have to one up what your competitive multiplayer shooters were year before. So if you're a Battlefield 4, you're going to introduce the destructible environments, just up the scale. But like with maybe some of the smaller scale ones, they have to get going with it, and it looked a lot like Call of Duty.
Yeah, it did outside of the mechs.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I guess I didn't immediately look at it and see Modern Warfare, and I was kind of glad about that. And I also, no one really knew what Respawn was doing, other than it would probably have guns. And
yeah, had a lot of those.
I expected them to go like high-end sci-fi, like futuristic sci-fi with this. So the fact that they were able to find something a little bit original, but also kind of in their wheelhouse, I think Titanfall looked just fantastic. And the thing that stood out, and I think I said this the other day in my podcast with Josh, was just the speed of the mechs themselves. The fact that they look like they move like power suits rather than mechs. Like but then that combination with the soldiers on the ground, and there's a lot of there was some nice traversal of some of the soldiers, like climbing walls and that kind of stuff, and the jetpacks are always awesome.
I was like really excited about the fluidity, I think, of how that game just played, how you're like just being on foot, and now you have jetpacks, and then do some parkour off the wall, call in your mech. It's just everyone all of a sudden is super French, doing parkour, flipping all over the stuff, and calling their mechs in. But something about that helps build these moments, and that's what I think I want out of, I guess, competitive gaming. I don't want to be like, oh, my team's losing, I'm hiding in the shadows, we're not going to win this, dude's going to snipe me. I want moments. I want to feel like we're all on equal ground. Maybe some skill will help elevate, de-elevate, but it just looked like it was going to be a lot of fun no matter what you were doing. And the last time I played Black Ops 2, you got people cheating, and you're just not going to win. And I feel like, kind of like how Ethan was saying about Call of Duty Ghosts. I mean, it looks ugly and all that stuff, but they're probably not going to change anything radical about it either. And Titanfall looks like it's going to give me those moments that make me want to play competitive.
It made Ghosts look kind of silly. Like I said, Ghosts and Killzone. Like, you almost like, you look at some of these games, and you're like, you only have that one dimension. Like, you're only doing one thing. Like, you had to do a little bit more. And I was also kind of thinking, like, if there was any year for Call of Duty to take a break, like, it would have been this year. Like, it's almost like just put a next-gen port of Black Ops 2 up with, like, some big chunky DLC or chunky multiplayer edition, and sell it for cheap while the teams are regrouping and actually going all out next gen, because at the same time in Infinity Ward they had 2 years to pull this one off, and like it's a split gen game. So I felt you feel kind of bad for them, especially when you see Respawn come out and be like, oh no, this is where we're going, and much more interesting. I'd be curious to see what kind of impact Titanfall had with like the core Call of Duty players, to see if it piqued their interest at all, or if maybe we don't know what we're talking about as far as that crowd goes. Maybe they are stoked for dogs.
They really want those ghosts.
Yeah. I mean, along those same lines, like Titanfall kind of opened my eyes as far as the press conferences went, as like, no, I'm getting pumped for next gen, and the thing that capped it off. I think my three big hits were Titanfall, The Division, and then finally seeing Destiny. And God, like, I felt like I think I tempered my expectations, but at the same time, like, Bungie needed to do something big, and I didn't think lightning could strike twice. And it's too early to say that about Destiny, but first impression of that game, I cannot wait to play some Halo Lands. Wow. It was also a refreshing demo, just how natural the presenters were, the players were. I don't know. It's hard to tell what's pre-recorded, what's not, but like their banter was fun. They were excited about getting their loot. I was really, blown away by some of the lighting stuff when they sent that drone out to light stuff ahead of him, and then they just do this typical get into this building, do a mission, kill a boss type character, get some loot, fawn over this, what was it called, the Thunder.
It was like a Thunderlord or something.
Thunderlord, yeah. The Thunderlord rifle, and then you start to see like how these different guns level up, and you start to get, gun loot lust all over again, and just the possibilities there. And then they go outside, and then that random event happens, and they're fighting some big tank thing that straight up reminds me of just a random Halo combat scenario, which I love.
Yeah.
I love any of that, and if that's now an open world setting that's a lot more fluid to jump in and out of, you have my attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, Destiny kind of gave me a slow burn at first when it started. Like I wasn't sure what to expect, and I was like, "What are these guys doing?" And I could feel the banter. I was getting my guard up. I was like, "Oh, they're about to start joking and saying all sorts of dumb stuff that people don't say in a normal situation." But yeah, then once it actually started going, like the banter, I thought it was funny. I was laughing at what they were saying. I was interested in what they were doing. They were bringing up stuff like the skills, I guess, of the weapons and stuff. Like they brought that up, but he didn't like explain it in any kind of like, oh, let's dumb this down, and we're talking to people without talking to people. He gave you a peek of it. He gave you a taste, and then they're like, oh, we need to go outside and do this. But I'm like, I want to see more about this gun. So they really kind of got you excited about stuff in a very good way, like the best way that they could, without just, here's a bullet list of the guns do this, and they have different skills. They gave you a little sneak peek, and then they're like, hey, let's get you excited about the next thing, and then let's get you excited about the next thing. And so, yeah, Bungie did a great job on that demo, and I wasn't exactly sure what to expect from Destiny, but by the time that was over, I was like, you know what, I would get a PS4 and play this game.
I mean, honestly, as silly as it sounds, that's been the game that has made me kind of, for lack of a word, depressed looking at my games library as far as what I wanted to play in between watching all this stuff. I was like, if nothing looks as cool as I want to play Destiny. I don't want to play Borderlands 2 now. I mean, Destiny.
But does Destiny have trucks?
I
hope so.
This is from the creators of the Warhog.
Ships.
You gotta hope.
There's got
speeder
trucks.
bikes.
From the creators of the truck, yeah.
So Ethan, you're not the biggest Halo proponent. Destiny hit home a little bit for you.
Yeah, it looked a lot more interesting than Halo did. Again, I enjoyed the first Halo, the second Halo, but after a while, it kind of ran its course with me. But I think co-op aspect of it is great. The combat looked awesome. I was feeling ragey actually at the time. It looked a little ragey to me, and that's cool. Like I like that kind of art style, though much better looking. And I love, again, I like the fact that now we're getting these games. I always like, some element of loot and some element of RPG, kind of functionality. And a lot of these games are offering one or the other, and I like that. And I think, again, like, it's weird because, the combat was cool, but again, just like you said, like that little robot flying out in the light, like that's what caught my attention. So, I mean, in a lot of situations, I'm not really big on the graphics. I'm really huge on the atmosphere, and there's a lot of situations at this E3 that atmosphere was done really well, and Destiny was definitely that. Man, that it just looked good. I mean, I feel the same way as you guys did. It's almost kind of, and again, we've been in this last generation for so long that we kind of forget what that next level of gameplay is, and we didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know what they were capable of and what direction they would go in. And even as PC gamers, there is a definite shift when the new consoles come out. So now everyone's going to start focusing a little bit more so. But I'm just excited about what else is going to come out. After things like if Destiny works. I mean, I look at Defiance. You looked at that. You're like, oh man, that's huge. It's a big huge idea, but they're taking that idea and going even further with it with a lot of different games. So I don't know, dude. It's gonna be tough to actually make it through these games. And these are just games in the beginning. Like this is the beginning of it. Like that's the thing. Like I don't know.
I mean, I know Destiny has like a 10-year plan to it, but it's kind of like it's also kind of a split gen game. Like it's just you kind of wonder what if you had 2 to 3 years to work with this hardware? Like, what would you do? But also, don't make me wait any further than 2014, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and then on the PC side, all I kept thinking when you were talking about that, Ethan, was like, it's got to kind of piss you off as a PC gamer, because they've had this power at their fingertips, but they've been holding back because of the consoles. So
Yeah, but the thing though, but I get excited. I mean, I've been able to benefit from games looking better. Now they're just going to catch up with the power, and I'm okay with that aspect of it. Like, I understand those kind of cycles. I mean, you kind of think, why aren't they doing this? Across the board, why didn't we have these? I mean, because again, my computer is equivalent, if not a little bit better equipped than what the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One will be, but. No one's really come out with anything to. I mean, graphically they pushed it, but I mean, again, the scope. That's what I'm talking about. Is the scope, and you see things like Destiny, you're like, holy shit. There's more to this than just shooting and stuff. I mean, there's all kinds of little intricate things going on behind the scenes, and oh shit, I don't know. It's really exciting. It's good. It's good for everybody. Everyone's going to benefit, except for people that bought a Wii U. You guys are fucked. Yeah, sorry, that was a mistake. You should have waited.
Go travel the world.
Actually, if you would have listened to our Wii U podcast last year, you could have listened to me, and you would have waited.
Listen to you.
Because nobody else did. So.
I was going to say, I think there were a couple other loud voices that made mistakes on that show. So
Yeah.
Ethan, what else stood out?
I just lost my list real quick. So I wanted to kind of touch on Dead Rising 3.
That's fine. You can rope it for all I care.
Okay. It's kind of a weird. I have a weird impression of this, and this is a game that when I saw, I was like, that looks awesome.
Yeah.
I know everyone's sick to death of zombies, but I think this is actually a zombie game that, again, I hate to say scope. I feel like this is like, like last year when it was like, what was it, the the transmedia, when they were talking about that, but like zombies, like the movies that I grew up on, they were zombies all over the place. I mean, there were whole cities full of zombies. Dead Rising has been the only game that's really gotten the zombie count right in terms of the number, but they were always kind of fun. The zombies were just kind of fun ways for you to make messes, I guess, is kind of the best way to describe it. This game, and I know a lot of people got kind of pissed about the tonal shift, and that's fine. I mean, there's still a little bit tongue-in-cheek stuff in there. I think it'll still be a little bit goofy, but
Okay.
It looks like a nice, solid, creepy zombie game. Like, it looks really fucking good. To see that cityscape was pretty unreal. And, I mean, I got really, really, really excited for that. I'm still kind of cold on the smart glass and the tablet, kind of how those are going to be integrated. But hey, I mean, that's it's again, it looks like a good sandbox. I mean, if you can call in artillery strikes, I kind of got mercenaries. I kind of got that feeling with that kind of stuff. If they're going to offer that sort of thing in that game, but. The movement was good. The character had a stupid voice, but I mean, besides that, like he seemed afraid in the way he reacted to the zombies when he was fighting and moving around and trying to get from point A to point B was really cool. Like, it felt a lot more realistic, but with enough of that video game feel that you're not trudging along or anything like that. I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with that game. At this point, it's an exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah.
Which, okay, we'll put parenthesis fingers around that. But we'll see how long those last. I don't know.
Did Dead Rising 2 ever come out for PS3?
I think it did. It was on PC. I know
it was on PC, but I don't think it ever came out to. I don't think it came to the PlayStation for some reason. That could be crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember.
So that just might be one of those exclusive franchise. And so there's exclusive, which we assume to be permanent to one platform. There's console exclusive, because a lot of these seem to be, if it's an exclusive, it's on one of the platforms and PC. And then there's exclusive that just means, we have some DLC that we're getting first.
Yeah.
So
Dead Rising 2 is on PS3.
Huh? It was?
It is, yeah. Okay. Just Amazon.
All right. I trust you. Dead Rising 3. So I was kind of ripping this trailer when it showed up because I was put off by Dead Rising 2. I thought the coolest thing Dead Rising done was what was it, Code Zero? Like, is that right? What was the?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That
I thought that was awesome that they did
bite-sized
that.
piece.
Yeah. Before the game comes out, so do that again. But as the trailer went on, and the fact that it looked less and less like Dead Rising. Now I'm not saying remove the humor entirely, but it was taking itself a lot more seriously, and the combat looked a lot more natural.
Yes.
And the fact that they added some vehicles and just this, we said this again, the scale, the amount of zombies in that city, and just it struck a tone that we've played a lot of zombie games in the last couple of years. None of them felt like that as far as how many damn zombies there are, and so that was one of those jaw-dropping next-gen moments, and I definitely take note of that. And if it can keep that tone and that playability, hell yeah, I'd be all in. And then with DLC or with the costumes, like then you can layer on your silliness after the fact, which I thought they do.
Yeah.
They've done a good job with, but just don't beat me over the head with it to begin with, and let me have a zombie experience first before you silly it up.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
Dead Rising 3 did a really good job of just making you feel like you were moving into the next gen. Just because if you look at Dead Rising 2 and before you're like, oh, you're running through a mall, it's full of zombies and it's crazy. Look at all these zombies you can kill in wacky ways. But then if you just you put that next to Dead Rising 3 and it just looks like maybe you really jumped a generation to the next step of how that game should actually go. And so, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of games, a lot of sequels that are going to look nicer, but that jump from 2 to 3 with Dead Rising was kind of like, wow, for a brief second, like I kind of wanted to reevaluate, do I want to jump into the next gen? Am I supposed to be putting money down on these systems? Because that looks incredible. And I was saying no before, but I really would want to play a game like Dead Rising 3. I'd want to see what have I been missing that they're going to provide me with now.
That was Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say the original Dead Rising is what sold me on the Xbox 360. Like I wasn't sure, and that was long before zombie games were just oozing out of everything, which I'm perfectly okay with. But I know other people.
It's all
are not.
Dead Rising's fault. So
yeah, but yeah, I mean that's what made me decide because I hadn't played games intently for quite some time, and I was kind of happy with just tooling around with my Xbox, and that was the one that I was kind of like. Again, look at all these zombies. This is the next step. This is the next generation, not just graphically, but again with all the stuff going on at the same time. And yeah, I mean, Aaron, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, that was a huge leap. And there's a lot of examples of huge leaps from the last generation to the coming generation, but that was one of those ones that that I think got unfairly bashed by a lot of people just because it was another zombie game.
Sure.
Because I don't know, just people are going to do that, and that's fine. I think that we fight terrorists and robots and vampires, as often, if not more often.
I had nothing against the zombies. I just thought they had some really archaic mechanics that really put me off from enjoying the game. So
well, two took a weird step. I thought.
Aaron, how about you? What's another highlight?
Another highlight for me would have to be Infamous Second Son, in that I just had to watch some of the video earlier today, but I'm like, oh, I like Infamous. I played Infamous 1, Infamous 2, and those were good games, especially in that head-to-head with Prototype. And I'm like, well, now that there's probably not going to be a Prototype 3, so now Infamous Second Son's kind of on its own. What will it do? Will it, remain stagnant? You got superpowers, or what are they going to do with this kind of whole, I guess, security measure? The government's watching your every step. The government. And I finally watched that video that you posted on the site today, and I was like, wow, just watching the powers that the character actually has now, and how they kind of seem to fit the personality, the character. Ethan brought up, atmosphere in the universe, actually feeling like, hey, this stuff makes sense. And I was watching just how he moved around and the things he was doing. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then he started destroying stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty much what was missing from like the first two Infamous games, is that everything being destroyed was scripted. Oh, there's a big guy and he's coming towards New Orleans. Stuff is destroyed. It was a cutscene. It was part of the story. But that's how you ramp up, I guess, having superpowers. Just let this guy just wreck shit wherever he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it fit the character too, like just the way he looks, like he would just destroy this stuff and
with a smirk, man.
Yeah, just with a smirk on his face. He's shooting fire and crap out of his hands.
Yeah, he looks like a good anti-hero. Like I don't usually, I'm not usually attracted to anti-heroes, but he looks like one that, will definitely be entertaining. I think he'll have some fanfare. And I think with the destruction thing, like that is the next step in superhero games. That is what was missing from all those other ones. Is like couldn't really break anything, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, to a certain point, but they were, predetermined kind of items, and that looked good. Oh man, that looked really, really good. I love the X-Men vibe. Definitely love the X-Men vibe.
Oh, no, I hadn't even thought about that. Like, it definitely has a unique superhero quality to it. But like, so they had this was at the PlayStation 4 reveal, and I was like, oh yeah, naturally they would make another Infamous game, and that's that's fine for a launch title. And I took a break with Infamous 2. I didn't really have anything against it. It just wasn't really up for the experience. So I was like, yeah, I'll play it. I'll play the Infamous game. So I had been paying attention to it, and like I opened that trailer, like I opened the gameplay trailer, like I've seen the the teaser trailers and the the cutscenes and that kind of stuff, and that's all fine. But so I opened this gameplay trailer while I'm reading through or looking for the next 3 trailers I'm gonna open up next, and then I look over as I see that Destructible, like he collapses some tower, or blows through a wall, or whatever he does, and and then I just start paying attention to it, and then I also started looking at like how sharp the graphics were, like just the little like how detailed some of the textures were, and just like you start to see, oh no, this is a legit next gen game. This isn't just something they're rushing out the door. And I got really excited, and it jumped up my list there pretty quick. Because that's kind of
that's how I felt.
I feel like Dead Rising 3 is kind of my exclusive standout on Xbox One, but Infamous is kind of my standout on PlayStation 4 at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that it seems like they are making that game worthwhile, and maybe the platform was holding them back for Infamous 2 a little bit.
Maybe it was. I really want Sucker Punch to succeed. I like those guys.
Yeah, and they have a cool new logo. I don't know if you guys knew this, but do you know anything about why it's a second different character this time around?
I missed it if they said.
So both, in both previous Infamous games, there's a good ending and a bad ending, and they've chosen one to be canon, and basically, based off of everybody's trophy performance for Infamous 2, they've chosen to go this route with a new hero. So it's all based on the decisions everybody made on Infamous 2. So
that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how they're choosing their canon, is by how people are playing the game. So
that makes sense. That's a good good way to go.
As far as like another must buy for me, what else stood out? I think he stole mine with Infamous. Let's just kind of move on to things you maybe need to know more about. I think the first thing that pops into never mind. Find another one. My other must buy is Watch Dogs.
Yes.
I still had a lot of questions about this game coming into it. And I still don't fully understand how the world is going to work together, but they did do a good demo of like a typical mission, and from just the variety of driving around trying to elude the cops, and just your little tricks that you can do, to basically seeing this guy spot you and he's going to make a call. And I think this was the moment that it really switched for me. He's like, I know everything in this world is hackable, and you can use technology to do whatever you needed to do. But he still had to go up to this dude, take his phone, and slam it on the ground. I don't know. There was just something cool and unexpected.
I love that moment. of all the stuff he can do, just all the hacking, they show all this cool stuff, and then what stands out? Him manually taking a phone out of a man's hand and just slamming it on the ground and walking away.
Yeah, it was actually, I mean, as slick as the, going to different cameras and going in the building and guiding the guy out of the building. Like, yeah, the little up close personal touches of violence are what stood out was the, the running up behind the guy in the car and, kind of kneecapping him and then shooting him in the back of the head. And then he gets caught at the end and does something on his phone to cause a citywide blackout, which is just awesome looking. And then he cut to basically shooting the guys in the legs, and it looked like some vital points or something was glowing on their legs, so you'd know where to shoot them. And I think if incapacitating some of these people becomes a big part of the gameplay, that became kind of awesome. But just like seeing this game in action and just how one of those missions would work, it's like, yes, I want to play this. So
it's just it looks like there's so many options to do in that game, and it's not, hey, just run here and play a hacking mini game and then shoot this guy because we're gonna send 10 guards into the room, and what else are you gonna do? Knock the lights out and shoot them? But I like that, just the option, that illusion that, hey, you can do this and that and this and that, and maybe you can just disable dudes and try to get out. So I'm wondering, because I know I read an article about their morality and how they kind of want to keep things in the gray, but I'm wondering if you will ever have option to not be just a crazy, technological murderer, or you'll be able to spare some people but still just be really a good hacker. So it's just kind of interesting when they show you those differences and how he uses his phone, but then will also just take dudes out left and right.
Yeah. I thought that game looked good. It can't be compared to a Grand Theft Auto, and that's not the comparison I'm making to it. But for me to be interested in Grand Theft Auto, it takes a lot more than just driving around shooting and stuff. And I wonder if the hacking mechanic is going to be that step, or if it's just a little bit of frosting, that we'll get through relatively easily. That being said, I love the combat. I actually watched a little video on how they're dealing with the combat, and basically they're making it as realistic as possible. That combat looks good. It looks real nice.
Yeah, really good.
It looks really brutal. You're not, jump kicking and stuff. You're smacking the shit out of people and driving their skulls into the ground. And I think that's I appreciate that kind of stuff because I like acrobatics and that kind of stuff. Who doesn't? But we don't need to do wire fighting in every single game. And some games have kind of gotten a little bit too silly. But I think that's what this game has that advantage, because that when he shot that guy in the head too, that's another thing. That's realistic. That's gritty, and that was almost one of those moments where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah. I don't know why that seemed so brutal, because even it wasn't really
Well,
gory, but it just seemed
good.
Yeah.
Good that it seems so bad.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh man, I can't believe
we might have more of those moments in this next generation for sure.
I hope so.
Looks like both of you have a little game called Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh my gosh.
Ethan, why don't you? How'd you react to Red Dead Redemption 2?
Well, like that, I was like, oh, this is like a modern day Red Dead Redemption. I didn't actually see the trailer when you guys all did. I actually saw it a little bit later on. Someone talked about it. Did you see
the one with all the torture, or did you see? There's a 6-minute version and a 9-minute version.
I saw the big long. It had to have been the 9-minute one, because I saw the big long one. Metal Gear Solid has been really weird because the whole lack of a certain someone in the series is strange. But I'm not as connected to Mr. Hater as Josh is.
I know what you're getting at.
And Kiefer Sutherland, I'm a huge Kiefer Sutherland fan.
Yeah,
so
it's like
anything he's involved with. Yeah, that's fine. That's kind of the next step we're seeing is celebrities and big named actors are starting to get into games a lot more. But the thing about that is, I was shocked when someone said, "Oh, it's an open world Metal Gear Solid." I thought someone was bullshitting me, and then I saw it and I was like, "Well, how does that work?" Oh my gosh, dude, that game was probably, I think, visually, it wasn't like as colorful and as just like boom and in your face as some of the other games. It was one of the more realistic looking games. The scenery was incredible. I liked, when you're walking through and you're crawling, and it looks like the stealth mechanics should be a lot more realistic. It looks like you're really going to have to focus on light and dark and making sure that you can't be seen. Sneak in the back of that pickup truck or that military jeep as it's kind of driving down the street, and I was like, well, man, they've kind of like scaled back on the Metal Gear Solidness of this. Like, this looks kind of like a legitimate like Rambo type game. And then the Metal Gear Solidness came in, with the sniper girl who's got gigantic boobs. And I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. But it was, I don't know, I was really, really impressed with that. And that trailer got me, that got me really, really pumped up.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, they started with that, which was interesting, but yeah, pretty much just another Red Dead Redemption, but with all that Metal Gear flavor you want. But the only thing I guess that I'm interested in is what will they do with cutscenes? Because Kojima and friends love to just give you all the exposition in the world for minutes on end, and I'm wondering if they give you this big kind of stealthy playground to play in, how often will they interrupt you to tell you, hey, here's the story about this character, and here's a wacky character you'll probably love. And I'm like, I kind of hope like they deliver a good story, but they leave you alone at times and let stuff play out through the gameplay, and not so much watch this 10-minute movie before we let you go ride a horse again.
Yeah.
I've been out of Metal Gear for a couple games now. Not so much because of the quality of the games, it's just because there's just a learning curve with them, or like you have to be, in a certain mood to deal with Kojima cutscenes, and it just never clicked for me. And I felt like I missed the boat on Metal Gear Solid 4. But man, this looks infinitely more playable than the rest too.
Yes.
And also just an interesting setting. And if they do what everybody is thinking they're going to do with tying it into the original Metal Gear, that could be awesome. That could be awesome. Yeah. And Kiefer Sutherland, damn it. So
Kiefer.
24.
Is he playing two characters in this game?
I don't.
Is he?
Who knows? I mean, the rumor is he's just there to be Big Boss, but
okay. Because the character you rescue in the trailer, the character that you rescue in the trailer looks and sounds like him. I think his name's Kaz or Cass or something.
Kaz.
I mean, he's playing Big Boss, I thought, but.
Well, yeah, I know that's what I mean, but then. Yeah, he rescues this guy that looks exactly like him. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? But it's Metal Gear Solid. You never know what to expect.
It didn't stand out as Kiefer, so I think that's a good thing. So
yeah. And they didn't make a huge deal out of it either. I mean, they could have. So I mean, he could have walked out on stage and been like, "Hey, it's me, Kiefer. Keef's in town.
Keef's here.
You guys are okay with that? See ya. Yeah.
You guys want to? Let's start with Aaron. Just give maybe a couple one-liners for anything else on your must-buy list before we move on.
I watched the teaser for Mirror's Edge 2, and I will play the shit out of that game. Give me it. And Dark Souls 2. I mean, it's going to be on the current gen, but we have a good review up, and if I had played that game faster, it could have been me. But I will play this one, and one quick shout out to Supergiant Games and Transistor. I loved the hell out of Bastion, and Transistor looks like the logical next step for, continuing what they do, like just the style, the flavor, the soundtracks. That game will be awesome, I'm sure.
Yep. What about you, Ethan?
Definitely The Witcher Wild Hunt looks amazing. It's the Skyrim killer, but again, it looks really, really freaking awesome. Man, CD Projekt Red, they kick ass, and I'm excited about Cyberpunk 2077 as well. That's kind of a big deal. Company of Heroes too. We've talked about it already. We've seen it. It's coming out soon. Still pretty excited about that though. So,
let's see. Talk to me about your thoughts on The Evil Within, Ethan.
Oh shit! Yeah, holy god! Oh my gosh! I forgot all about that.
You're here to hear first.
that was an intense little cutscene or a little scene that I saw hanging in the meat locker, sneaking. That game is gonna be scary as fuck. Oh man, that's gonna be a tough one to play. I'm telling you right now, that is going to be the. I don't think it's gonna be the Amnesia because again, I think they still need to keep the action going, but that's going to give people some nightmares. And I think that is a game that's either going to make or break survival horror for the next however long. If this game does well, if they do it well, I think we'll see more survival horror games. Maybe people will look at Resident Evil and be like, oh shit, maybe we should get a little bit less action and go back to that. But no, it was, oh man, it looked fucking super intense and super bloody. A little bit of Saw in there, a little bit of classic, slasher films. There's going to be some paranormal bullshit going on. I mean, it's fucking. It looks great, and also like I was listening to someone describing how the combat and that kind of stuff works, and like you have your weapons and that kind of stuff, but there's also going to be opportunities where maybe you can like light someone on fire or push them into like an environmental type obstacle or whatnot. And I mean, again, it seems like. It has that survival horror, like, oh, I've got 3 bullets, I need to survive, I need to hold on these for a while. Oh man, it looks so scary. I'm so scared.
That all just sounds stressful.
Yeah.
So,
It's gonna be. Oh yeah.
So stoked to hear that Ethan's excited for that because
Yeah.
I haven't got to watch gameplay yet. So somebody was saying, like, is it more like, is it look maybe like Resident Evil 4 as far as the action goes?
I didn't think so at all.
Okay.
I thought, the scene that I saw was, I didn't think so at all. Now, I didn't see a whole lot. I mean, unless someone saw something different from me or there's been another trailer that's gone up. But no, I thought that, no, it didn't seem over the top like that at all, which would be, Resident Evil 4 was great, but that would be a mistake because this seems to be more on the side of, psychological horror and, kind of conventional horror as well. So they're kind of combining those two things. So, but, this will be cool.
I want to give a couple shout-outs to some of the indie games coming to the PlayStation 4, just because it's still one of my favorite moments during their press conference. But I think we can all agree that the greatest name for a game of the show is Secret Ponchos.
Secret Ponchos. Oh, man.
It looks cool, really stylistic, but it is just it's kind of like a top-down multiplayer shooter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But Mercenary Kings,
I'm excited to play that.
That was like my standout from what I could judge from some of the gameplay trailers. So be on the lookout for those indie games. As far as games you're on the fence a little bit, Aaron, what do you want to know more about?
I strangely want to know more about the South Park game. And
do you just want to see it?
I just want to see what it is. I want to see the vile humor. I want to see how far they push South Park in a video game form ever since that 64 game where you're throwing pea snow. And I just want to know how does this play. And I think we didn't get a whole lot from this other than I think quick shots of stuff and Randy will teach you how to fart. But I'm curious because that game has gone through some shit itself, I guess, with THQ's issues and then coming over to is Ubisoft now.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious how much will hold up, but I mean they've got Matt and Trey in there, and I kind of I'm hungry for give me real gameplay. Like what exactly happens in this? Is it play out like a weird Final Fantasy RPG that's just South Park themed, or what exactly is happening? But
yeah,
I watched that show. I still think it's pretty funny after all these years, and so. I want a South Park video game that just is good.
Mm-hmm. I've heard only amazing things about how it looks like the show. And
that's all, and it's easy to make it look like the show.
Yeah.
And who knows how the fuck playable this will be, because as I was reading this week, it's both a good and a bad thing that Matt and Trey have creative control over this. So it may be unplayable. It may just be one big joke. So, but I can't wait to actually get my hands on that one.
I'll play it, and if it is shit, at least I got to play.
Oh, Ethan.
I want to see a little bit more of the Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh yeah.
I think people were excited about it. I don't think I'm excited for an MMO, especially an MMO in a universe that I'm just knee deep in at this moment. And I can't get a grasp on the combat, and maybe that's what what I want to see out of it. I don't know how fluid the combat is. I don't know. Just the footage that I saw just didn't seem to really pull together a lot of what I'm curious about with that game.
Yeah.
And realistically, I don't think it can offer anything unless they come in with a really good combat system. Love the Elder Scrolls, but I'm not really that connected to the kind of mythology of the Elder Scrolls. Like, I couldn't tell you what happened in Oblivion. I had fun. I can't tell you what's happening in Skyrim at this point. There's vampires and werewolves and bullshit. And some fucking dragons, but I couldn't tell you about it. So I don't know if that would be enough to lead me to, commit to an MMO with that.
Yeah, I guess I was surprised to see this on your list to the point that you cared enough to know more, I guess.
I think it's a lot of these is it's almost like the curiosity is less about caring and more about just legitimately being curious about it.
What the fuck
are you doing? Because I don't know. I don't. To me, the Elder Scrolls series is not a multiplayer game. There are plenty of multiplayer fantasy themed. I mean, man, they're jumping into heavy water here. Tell me one. Man, I could tell you.
Yeah,
like 50,000. There's a lot of, and I think I like the fact that people are kind of drifting away from the standard fantasy setting when it comes to MMOs, and also introducing new stuff, kind of like what Defiance did, and what the Division's doing, and what Destiny's doing. And to me, I feel like it's a step back for them to put. I mean, it's a lot of money to invest into an MMO, and I mean, I feel like, man, that's a huge risk to take. For a it's just gigantic risk. I don't know why anybody's making MMOs right now. Like, I think things need to the dust needs to settle a little bit on some fronts. I know why some people are playing it in MMOs. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, like a new guy to the table.
This is just one of the. I think this will be one of the last ones too. But just something that started in the wake of World of Warcraft and got so far along, but that they can't not finish it. They can make some money off of it, and we'll see how much they sweep it under the rug. But I could care less about playing another fantasy MMO that is based off of World of Warcraft's styling. So there's too many other options right now. So.
Oh, and speaking of the style, I hate the style of it. Oh, I don't like the way it looks. Like, I'm used to gritty Elder Scrolls. It doesn't look. It looks pretty cartoonish, I thought.
Think about it, though. This would have been the big E3 for Kingdoms of Amalur.
Yeah, it would have.
That would have been... That would have been messy. Let's see. The one game I want to know more about, since we ripped on all the car demos for the entire show, was the fact that The Crew was the other trailer that, by the end of it, I was kind of convinced I want to play it. So...
what is that?
The only thing that stuck out to me was the fact that you can rip open your car and play with the gears and move stuff around and like kind of mod your car that way. But it was the open world style of it, because I'm sitting here kind of half watching this trailer, and I was like, holy shit, really, Ubisoft? You just said we've got a new franchise, we've got a new thing, and it's a car game, and like everybody has a car game for the next gen, and then their car went literally off the road and like started doing truck stuff, and it had trucks in it, and then it just building off of a lot of the multiplayer elements that I think are in the Burnout games and the Criterion Need for Speed games, but like being able to actually drive around with your crew and take on other challengers, like it had more to it than the rest of these driving games, to the point where like I'm not sure if I'm sold on getting a driving game at this point, but if there was one I want to play, The Crew had some interesting hooks.
Mm-hmm.
So, both of you have listed Dying Light, so I'll let Aaron kick that off.
Yeah, so Dying Light, Techland is a sneaky bastard.
They're working on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so they put out that Dead Island trailer that had the piano music, was playing in reverse. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, zombie game, this is gonna be great."
Zombie drama.
And skipping to now, they put out the Dying Light trailer, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, "Oh wow, this looks like it could be really kind of cool." And they have a good choice of music. I'm really feeling this and what's going on here. Guys kind of doing parkour, running all over, trying to escape zombies. Parkour is the thing now.
Yeah.
Like they're running, and then like the guy gets to the end, and we've been following this character kind of just dodging zombies and trying to get to a goal or something, and then he just gets brutally beaten with a baseball bat by some guy out of nowhere, and I was like, oh shit! I did not see that coming, and then I'm like, this game could be something interesting if they're trying. I don't know if they're trying to push a first-person or third-person thing here, though. Yeah. But I mean, the thing with Techland is I think they do have good. They have a good engine for.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got an open world engine to mess around with.
Yes.
They can get rid of some of the wonkiness and make it more playable. That's the thing. So they were working on Riptide that just came out.
Yeah.
They've got Hellraid, which is just Dead Island in a fantasy setting.
Yeah, reskin. Yeah.
But then they've also got Dying Light, so they're getting some mileage out of that fucking engine. But this one, definitely curious because of the speed of it.
I'm wondering if it's kind of got, I guess, a slight Brink flavor to it, and Brink unfortunately did not turn out well. But
that's good.
Yeah. But
sprinkle some Brink on that. That'll make it
Brink on these zombies. But I mean, if they can make this work, or at least work enough to be fun. Dead Island was fun despite its jank, and I didn't touch Riptide. But if they could take this to a more interesting level and have you kind of doing more vertical traversal and actually like running away from zombies, but in ways that are like interesting, and then if they can like just brutalize that that first person melee engine they have, and whatever else they're trying to do with this game, they've got ambition, but it's just the execution that makes Techland a little shaky. And I don't want to get my hopes too high, but I am interested enough that I will pay attention to this.
I think it's such a mistake of them to. I thought it looked interesting, the concept of it, but man, they're going to be known as like the zombie guys, like the zombie game guys. I mean, they're pumping them out so quickly, and they're just kind of like maybe making little. I mean, I saw the oh shit, you just said it. What's the fantasy one?
Hellraid.
Hellraid. Yeah. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Hopefully, it's $20. And then I see, Dying Light. I'm like, okay, again, I'm not going to fall for your bullshit trailers anymore because it looked really exciting. I was really getting into it. I was like, oh, there's going to be a twist ending like usual. But then I'm like, never do they like come through with the emotion or the tension that they demonstrate in those. Because I want to get excited, but I'm always really like, you guys, you fucking threw that little girl out the window, and I was really not pumped to see the little girl thrown out the window, but pumped, that somebody was taking that kind of chance. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. Parkour and zombies, that's cool, but I kind of saw that and like Sunset Overdrive kind of being these, I don't know, like fast-paced games that you're kind of dealing with zombies or mutants or something, and I don't know if that's going to be enough. I don't know. I'm a little bit cynical on that one, but I want to see more of it because again, if it is speed, if you are popping around, I like parkour. I can't do it, but I like it. I like to watch it. I like to use it in other situations besides just climbing up my gate when I get locked out at night. So it could be interesting. But yeah, I don't know. Techland, the next game, they need to just not have zombies at all. Like they need to have you need to fight pilgrims or something. Like the complete opposite. I don't know.
I mean, that was the thing with Hellraid, with seeing gameplay from Hellraid. I was like, it really does look like a reskinned Dead Island, and Dying Light looks like that might have their A team on it. That was kind of my take on it. Of this might be the Techland project you actually pay attention to. So,
yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
But so I'll keep an eye on that. And then you brought up Sunset Overdrive. I felt like that got kind of a bad reaction in our chat. At least I seemed, or it could be because I'm overly defensive of Insomniac. So I just want to say, give this game a chance. Let's watch some actual gameplay, and they go for at least originality on the look and feel of the game, and there's some fun weapons. Like dude was shooting records at whatever their not zombies were, but And then, well, it had like kind of a Team Fortress, I guess, a vibe to it a little bit too with its character design. But you can't pass judge of it on Sunset Overdrive at this point. So, and I want more Insomniac stuff. So,
well,
I want to return. I'm really worried about them.
I want to return to glory for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious. I mean, I really am. I will be curious for Sunset Overdrive. I thought it was Fortnite, like when it first came out, because it looks very much like Fortnite, and I know Fortnite's a different sort of game. But again, these big open cities where you're, the traversal's like the big deal, and you're just moving from point A to point B. Like, I do definitely need a little bit more than that. Like, I want to feel like I want to make a home in the city, I want to make my own little nest. So we'll see. We'll see. And I like goofy weapons. Games are really taking themselves seriously, and it's good to have, like, a Sunset Overdrive come out.
Yeah.
But again, like, I hope it's just not, just like with Dying Light, it's like, oh, is parkour your thing? Because if that's all, then I don't know. But those monsters look cool. Like I thought those looked really cool actually. So maybe there's something different. I don't know.
Hopefully, or it's just another shooter. So
or it's just another shooter. Yeah.
Let's see. As far as ones I went up, I watched a ton of stuff on Quantum Break. I still don't have a fucking clue.
I mean, who knows?
I mean, granted, I had to watch each trailer that the creative director from Remedy was on. If he was in the video, I had to watch it 3 times because he's the face of Max Payne. I don't know if you've seen anything with Sam Lake in it, but like he is the original face of the original Max Payne, and it's really, it's really distracting. So, but they just, man, they were just so talking. What's the word? Just grandiose about Quantum Break. I still don't know what the game actually is. He said something along the lines of you can basically craft your own episode of the show. Like you're kind of, you're solving a mystery or like doing time cop stuff or whatever we were calling it. But based on your decisions, it makes an episode of the show for this, they want to make the TV, like, their own little TV show that isn't a TV show, and it didn't make any sense. Like, but the technology is cool enough to allow them to do this. So, somebody explain Quantum Break in English to me, and then I'll decide. But it's Remedy, so I'll keep paying attention.
Unless Ethan knows.
I don't know. I felt like, not that I didn't think they were being pretentious, but I'm like, again, like we need gameplay. We love it. We love these. Now they were actually, in trying to explain what they were doing, like it was confusing because it's actually a confusing concept. It wasn't just like they had a shitty concept. They were trying to make it seem better.
Yeah.
Like with Microsoft was explaining why we need these things and why it makes sense for the Xbox One to have these things. But still, I still get confused. Like, have someone that doesn't speak whatever language that is to explain it to me. I mean, I thought the whole, I don't know. I need gameplay. Give me gameplay.
That first trailer.
Fucking bridge.
Yeah, that bridge.
The poor bridge.
What did the bridge ever do?
Yeah.
I'm kind of I don't know. I like Remedy. I really liked Max Payne 3, and in a world where a bunch of people did not buy Max Payne 3, but Quantum Break, that trailer or that footage they showed during E3, I don't know if that changed my position on that game or not. It's like, I guess when they talk more about it, I'll be interested in it. But yeah, watching people stop time and then walk around a scene and explosion, it's like it wasn't something, I guess, too new or exciting for me to process. I'm like, they do this all the time. I mean, it's just more, time. Let's mess with time, and these guys are walking around like it's normal, and then he pulled the girl in, out of, I guess, being frozen in time, but then he's got like a gun in his hand, so I'm like, there's gonna be people shooting at people again. I mean, Remedy knows how to make people, shoot in slow motion. So but I still don't know. Like, is that the game? And yeah, the whole episodic thing from Alan Wake. It's like they're just they sat down at a table and they're like, okay, we can do Alan Wake and we can do Max Payne, and how do we bring these two together and just blow people's minds? But they have actually not accomplished blowing my mind yet.
Yeah.
Other than I'm like,
They
yeah, you're
wanted
good at
to.
those things.
Yeah,
They
it
want
feels-
to.
thought your mind
if
was
it-
blown.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does feel like they thought they did that already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, not yet. Show me
Aren't you as
something
amazed
happening.
as we are?
Still waiting. Yeah.
Show me something. Poor Bridge.
Give me a taste. Stop
Yeah.
killing bridges.
All right, let's do the rundown here of anything else you want to give a shout out. I don't know if you guys saw anything more on or know what Yaba Ninja Gaiden Z is, but there's
Stupid.
Oh
man,
no, that's
I
not.
love that trailer. I love that trailer. This is basically it's toon shaded, but it's an undead zombie that was killed by Ryu, and he's out to exact his revenge, but he's gonna kill a bunch of zombies on his way to do that, and it's toon shaded, and I believe Inafune from the creator of Mega Man is involved in this game, and I mean, it's going to be just a character action game when it comes down to it. But it was such a bizarre trailer, I had to mention it. So
Well, I guess Ninja Gaiden 3 was so shitty.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You gotta just go balls out.
Yeah.
With another one.
He says something about my balls in the trailer. I forget what the
I
line
wish I knew
was,
the
though.
line. The line is so.
Because, well, it's like super serious for the first like 5-7 seconds, and then he says, my balls, and for whatever reason.
Yeah, he
And I
says
was
something
like,
about his balls, and a drastic
just kooky
change,
from
and then it's
there.
just rap. It's just rap starts playing, and he's cutting up dudes, and I was like, what the fuck am I watching?
I also gave Final Fantasy 15 quite a lot of shit in chat when that was being displayed. Since watching an actual gameplay trailer, it looks awesome. So I have come full circle on that one. Still don't know what it's going to be, but it's worth paying attention.
There's no idea.
And then this wasn't covered in the press conferences, but it's something I've been watching before E3 and then trying to read up on it. Dumbest name of the show, but still a cool concept. Murdered Soul Suspect. Do you guys know what this one is? If I say Ghost Cop, are you interested?
Ghost Cop.
Is it like how in Ghost Trick you're dead, but you're solving stuff?
I don't know what that
dead.
means, but people have been comparing it to Ghost Trick. But yeah.
Okay, so you're dead and you're solving
Yes.
crimes. Okay.
You're dead and you're solving your own murder and trying to protect your wife, I think.
Oh,
That's
jeez.
selfish.
From the team that worked on Quantum Conundrum and published by Square Enix. So it's
Okay.
kind of sound dumb sounding when you describe it, but when you see it in action, it actually looks pretty cool. So apparently you're trying to solve your murder, and you also have to watch out for other ghosts, and the way you hide from ghosts is by possessing people. So
What?
Kind of
yeah.
That could be something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, definitely.
Aaron, run down the rest of your list.
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
Kingdom
yes.
fucking Hearts 3. After all these years of here comes a Kingdom Hearts game and it's some weird fraction or it's some subtitle that's not 3.
Some math formula.
Yeah, I was
Sneak
so ready
gumdrops.
when it started showing the compilation of Kingdom Hearts stuff that happened in prior games. I'm like, this is a joke. They're going to say something that's not 3, and they're just laughing at people at this point. It's like it's the Steam crowd waiting for Half-Life 2 Episode 3. That's what they're doing with Kingdom Hearts. But then when the 3 logo showed up, I was like, I can't believe they actually did it, and they're going to give us this game. And although I'm actually surprised, it's going to be on Xbox One as well as PS4.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, a friend had to tell me that. I thought, I'm like, did I miss something? Is he wrong? And I had to look it up, and I'm like, well, no, it's on both.
I mean, from what I understand, they're going to be pretty similar to develop for, so any of the exclusivity is going to be somebody buying out somebody else or somebody not giving a shit. So
Yeah, I'm surprised Sony didn't want to scoop that up. I mean, there's a bunch of diehard people.
Yeah.
I wouldn't describe myself as being diehard, but I do like the Kingdom Hearts series.
maybe they can still do that.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was Kingdom Hearts 3 or Battlefront that got the collective geek jizz going on Reddit this past week, because both those games were shocking games that nobody kind of expected. And people were
Well,
pretty
at least the
pumped about
Kingdom
them,
Hearts had a little bit of gameplay footage.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah. The other one was
Like
just
I was cracking up at everybody's Battlefront reaction just from a freaking logo and some Hoth cutscene from a game we don't know that they just repurposed as a teaser.
Something when people were excited about Battlefront, like, oh, the game's coming out. I guess we'll get more.
I knew it wasn't going to be anything because that's all you need. People that are such fans of Battlefront, it's been so long. They'll take anything. It's like the first time someone goes to second base. I mean, they're gonna make a mess in their pants because they're so excited. They've been waiting for so long. So,
anything else, Aaron?
Super Smash Brothers. I don't know. Am I the only one that plays Smash Brothers?
I play.
You play some Smash Brothers?
I've smashed.
You smashed on occasion. I've smashed. So yeah, it's not a surprise that game was coming out. It already knew. I don't know if it's going to have that same kind of fanfare as the lead up to Brawl. And, I mean, that's one of the most, I guess, fun gaming moments maybe of my life so far. Is just Sakurai website updates teasing you on what's going to happen in a game that is literally just Nintendo characters punching each other in the face. And so I don't know if they're going to do that again, but I'm not going to buy a Wii U for this as much as I like Smash Bros. But
3DS version?
A 3DS version. I would play this, in the doctor's lounge. I would play it while the dentist is actively working in my mouth. I would take
good
this
game
game.
Times.
Yeah, I would take this anywhere, and so I'm pretty excited about more Smash. And portable Smash, especially.
Yeah, I was unexpected. Didn't expect the 3DS version, and Mega Man.
Mega Man.
Yeah. Wii Fit Girl, go to hell.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Oh, Villager though. Holy shit. Villager from Animal Crossing.
Villager is going to be overpowered as hell.
He said because he likes to pick up things, he can use that ability, which just means any projectile that comes his way, he can just grab it and throw it back. But his description of
he
likes to, he can pick up anything.
You can just grab whatever. Grab an active explosion. I would like to see
he grabbed like a charge shot from Samus. Throw it back at her.
Overpowered.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention, or?
No, I think I'm done. I mean, there's Sonic, and I watched a little bit about that.
You mentioned it. So going on to Ethan.
I'll be real quick. Saints Row 4. I don't know if I'm excited for it.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I'm with you.
I don't know if it's going to be enough for me, personally.
That might be too much for me. The superhero stuff may break it. Was my fear.
That, but also, like, you're in the same place. So, again, like you said it best, Justin, you said it feels like 3 DLCs combined, and, I mean, literally that's what it is. And oh, man, their DLC was shit, like, was awful. And,
yeah, you played those.
Yeah, I played all
I
of them.
avoided them because you played those.
Yeah, they were bad. There wasn't much inspiration there, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen with this game because Saints Row 3, huge part of my heart. It's in there. But yeah, I'm crossing my fingers on that. Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare. Here's the thing. I was really disappointed when I saw that Plants vs Zombies 2 was only coming out on iOS. Though not too disappointing because I mean that's not a bad platform for playing that game.
No.
But then I saw Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare, and I don't know exactly what to think about it. I watching the gameplay trailer. It's obviously not the same game as Plants vs Zombies, but it looks like it's a cooperative game, and it's more third-person action oriented, and it looks like you can set up plants some places. But I don't know if that was the good direction to move in. Like, I think that was people love Plants vs Zombies not because of the characters, but because they like the characters, but the gameplay was really solid, and that was a really big risk and really seemed kind of confusing. The game looked great though. I love
Why
that,
not though?
Love that style. I mean, so yeah, I know. That's one of those things like that. I think that's a safer risk than like you're going with Elder Scrolls Online. But yeah, I was just kind of confused about that.
Yes.
Definitely. And then I also want to say Project Spark got me. I don't know, man. I like the concept of it, but I still didn't fully.
They need
know.
to demo more of how the stuff works and comes together.
aside from it being annoying, it looked like it could possibly be cool. But yeah, I didn't know much about it. But again, it looked like I was like, oh wow, that's pretty. Like, oh, look at this. But yeah, I don't know. Because I'll be curious about that. So we'll see. But yeah,
the one thing I wanted to say about Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare is something that Josh mentioned on our show. I kind of was going on about how I like the HD direction that Nintendo is going with their franchises. Like, I like the look of Donkey Kong Country, Super Mario 3D World, that kind of thing. But you look at Garden Warfare, it's like, oh, shit, that's what they could do.
Yeah.
They could,
Yeah,
like,
that's what they
graphically, that's what these games would look like. So that was, because I really dig the style of the characters in Garden Warfare, and it looks fun, and I hope they pull it off, or I hope they pull it off, or I hope it's like just a gigantic mess. Let's see. Chat wants to give shout outs to. I think they're upset at us for not calling out Wind Waker HD, but
It's good looking.
I love Wind Waker. I love Wind Waker.
Me too.
I thought it looks amazing, but I also know from the amount of HD Zelda games I have bought and re-releases of Zelda games I have bought, I will not replay it. So
well, and I think Nintendo. I mean, when one of your biggest games is an HD remake, we're not going to cut you. I don't know. They don't need to be cut.
They were trying to put like their kind of tentpole releases, and I was like, you can't count that. Like that's
no.
I didn't think they could. That's a nice thing to do. That's fan
They should have just given me.
Congratulations, but that's not an.
Oh, we'll get to that in a second. And also Lego Marvel Superheroes. I can't resist playing that.
I forgot about that.
Like, that's kind of the ultimate Lego game at the moment. Did either of you guys watch anything on Wolfenstein New Order or whatever that's called? I didn't actually get to see gameplay of that yet.
I did not.
I'm still curious about
it. It's robots.
Okay. Oh,
those look cool. I mean, the robots look cool. I don't know. Again, just like we were talking about, if for that game to do anything, it has to step outside that linear first-person quarter shooter. It has to.
Yeah.
We'll see if it will. I don't know.
And Bayonetta crotch shots. Shout out to that.
I'm mad. I guess I can't play Bayonetta 2, or I refuse to buy the Wii U to play Bayonetta 2.
I feel like I could just make my Wii U the community Wii U,
if
and even
only.
ship it to you for a 6-week period, because
if you sent me your Wii U, I would buy Bayonetta 2 and I would put out content for it.
Hey, here's a question. Someone, Verdian mentioned this. What was the Minecraft announcement?
just is for Xbox One, and it's it can have a bigger world.
Oh, that's all?
Yeah, it's the Xbox One edition.
Oh,
and I guess Notch was tweeting right around it about Microsoft's lack of indie support. Like, he was trolling the announcement. So that was really bizarre. But yeah, so
is he indie anymore though?
I think absolutely. Like, there's also something with how many games you've released. Like, and I don't know. Like, there is indie is double. There's indie is double fine.
Do you think he feels he's indie?
I don't know. I don't know what he feels. He's a mysterious guy.
Yeah.
He's like one of those I can't understand geniuses. I wouldn't say a misunderstood genius, because I'm sure some people do, but I don't get it. All right, let's wrap up the show with some advice to our favorite big three companies. Let's start with Nintendo. And Ethan, you're their biggest fan, so what would you like to tell Nintendo after this E3?
If you want to make money, you need to forget about having children as your demographic, because children don't want a Wii U, they want a PlayStation, and they want an Xbox One because they want to shoot people's heads off. Nostalgia is only going to get you so far. Don't pat yourself on the back for another performance like that, because it was embarrassing for everybody involved. Especially your big fans that have stuck with you through some silly times. Okay, so yeah.
I would also say they want an iPad in addition to those other ones before they want a Wii U. So
yeah.
Aaron, you worn a Nintendo shirt during epic moments of this podcast.
I could go back in time. I would not have worn that shirt.
What's your reaction to Nintendo?
My reaction to Nintendo is that they have gotten very complacent. They're fluffy at this point. They kind of exist, and they really feel like a grandparent that just, they want to give you fun little treats every now and then, and they think they know what you want, but they're just so out of touch right now that it's unbelievable. But the smile on Miyamoto's face just never fades, and it's like, is he in the same world that we're in? And so
I think he's got to be so frustrated with it. Like,
yeah, he's masking.
All I want to do is make games, but God, why do you guys keep...
Yeah, why does no one like our stuff anymore? They just need to go back kind of to the drawing board. And yeah, it's good that they're trying to innovate and they make these little gadgets and stuff, but those shouldn't be the main course of what Nintendo is giving to the gamer community. They should, try to step it up and like, oh yeah, we make all these good, memorable characters, but now they've kind of hit this weird infinite loop on, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Donkey Kong, and they just keep doing that over and over again.
Put
and
Metroid
so,
in there.
yeah, we're like drooling over Watch Dogs and Destiny and all this new stuff from companies that have really proven themselves. Nintendo just, hey, here's another Mario, this time he's in space. And they need to do something that just really surprises people and makes them remember why they sat around playing Nintendos and SNESs for, afternoons on end after school.
I actually would have enjoyed a Mario Galaxy 3 reveal more than the Mario 3D World. One positive I'll give them is I'm glad you didn't do an E3 conference. Like, that was
that would have been a disaster.
Although they basically did it, like, Reggie still gave a speech to all the press. It just wasn't, televised or whatever. So that was a little weird. But yeah, they didn't give anybody a reason to buy a Wii U, and like, this was your window's now closed. Like, you had like this 2-year opportunity before the next gens took off, and you swung and missed multiple times. And the only thing I'm looking forward to as a Wii U owner is what else you're doing with Virtual Console and your eShop. I will play some of your games you announced, but I'm not reorganizing my playtime around it, and I'm ultimately pretty frustrated. So,
yeah, the Wii U has become like a glorified emulator now.
Yeah, and I don't know what's next for Nintendo. So please tell us what's next for Nintendo, because it better not be the Wii U. Like, you can't, like, how long do you ride the Wii U? Like, so yeah, my advice is to tell everybody what your actual plan is from here on out, now that you know you failed.
Reggie's arm is so long, it's just always rubbing his back.
All right, who wants to start with Microsoft?
I would gladly let Ethan go. I could say stuff, but...
So I, as a person that understands business and also understands that there's a demographic of people that don't understand business, I absolutely, positively understand where you're coming from with you continuing to try to convince us of these things. The fact of the matter is, you're coming off like a fucking asshole, very conceited, and you're pissing people off. A lot of people have jumped ship, and you had the fucking momentum, Microsoft, going into this. You had it, and you blew it, and I don't know. You really need to, like, go out into the internet. And again, there's some people that just are pissed just to be pissed. They'll always be pissed. But there's some fans of yours that are legitimately upset by you presuming that they want something that they don't necessarily want. So you need to open your eyes up, or else you're going to get... Nintendo's not gonna happen to you, because you've got a multimedia, little box thingy, and it'll do some
Have fun selling your movies.
Fun stuff. But yeah, you're losing your gamers.
Have fun with your TV.
Yeah.
Skype with your friends.
Sports.
Watch those sports.
Sports.
My advice for Microsoft, and it's very relevant. For work, I had to watch a TED Talks where they talked about leadership and how companies like Apple are very good at what they do, and it was just so relevant in light of how Microsoft came off during E3, in that they explain so much. Here's what the Xbox One is, and you can Skype, you can listen to music, you can watch a movie, and hey, you can play your favorite Halo on it. But at no point did they like really touch on any kind of ideology that I feel like the most of the people that would buy this thing actually agree with, and that yeah, sure, most people are connected to the internet at most of the time.
Yeah.
Like no one's just unplugging their internet willy-nilly and complaining about it.
Yeah.
But to put restrictions on stuff and be like, oh, that's the direction we want to take it. Everyone's going to be online, so we got to make sure this is always up to date and that you always are the owner of this and that this is that. And it's just, no one's excited about that. No one's excited to know, oh, Microsoft's, I got to have a Kinect hooked up to it, or otherwise it might not work.
Oh, my
or
God, the Kinect.
yeah, I got to have the internet connection, or it will stop letting me play this single-player game. I'm not playing with my friends right now. Let me play this campaign. I'll play with my friends tomorrow. You can't just take the control out of a person's hand, or you
Reason with me, Xbox One.
You certainly shouldn't sell that as like a bullet point of your system. Like, hey, we can take the control out of your hands at any point in time, but if you let us keep an eye on you, you'll be fine. And no one wants to hear that. Yeah, you might do interesting things with the internet, but don't tell the people that you're just surveying them while they play their games.
Yeah.
And I say this as somebody that knows I will. Just from what we do and my interest in games, I will own an Xbox One at some point. I was looking for them to tell me why I needed to own one this year. I was especially curious because their arrogance at this point is that everyone will want to own this, no matter if they're a gamer or not. Like this is a thing that you will want in your house. So I was like, they're gonna have to make they have a strong case lined up. Like if they're gonna. I'm an easy sell, it feels like. And even before the rest of E3 took off and the rest of the stuff happened, like I wasn't surprised by the price point, and I'm not so much bothered by some of their policies. I think they're enacting them way too soon. I do think that, for the digital future where we're headed, that these issues will come up and need to be addressed. They made it so much worse by like being so hardline with it out of the gate.
Yeah.
And it put off a lot of who their core audience would be to get them off the ground again, and the people that got them there. And that arrogance has annoyed me from the beginning of the reveal of the Xbox One. But all that being said, like I think ultimately their problem is my advice to them is to drop the Kinect. Because no one wants one. Like even for Skype, they don't want one, because if they want something like that for Skype, it's a little webcam you can put in the Xbox One that isn't going to cost you that extra $100 that everybody's griping about right now. Mm-hmm. So, drop the Kinect, drop your check-in, like bump it up to 30 days or whatever you need to do to be more reasonable. And you might get back in the conversation in the next year. But I also know, and don't do what I know what you're going to do. Don't be stubborn for the next 6 months and keep with your game plan. Like, you need to change something. You have lost the conversation. You are going to start out way behind. I do think we'll have to revisit this again in 3 or 4 years when technology's caught up a little bit. But Sony's going to get out to a big lead, and the sooner you admit that, the better off you're going to be.
I can't believe Matrix said that he had a console out for the gamers that can't get online all the time, and it's called the Xbox 360.
Yep, he told everybody, all the military gamers overseas, to just go ahead and get a 360 because that was. I mean, and this was after the fact. Like this is this after you've lost. Like, and I'm not a proponent of people winning E3, but it was so clear this year, which brings us to Sony. Ethan, I'm just curious in your reaction at all, because Aaron and I, we witnessed it together. We bonded. We pre-ordered. So where are you?
It's really nice. There's a bad side to it. I'm just going to touch on it lightly, but first I want to say it's really nice to see Sony come back around, because as far as I'm concerned, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2 was a great era for games. PlayStation 3, there was a lot of mistakes they made. I think the whole hacking thing knocked them on their ass. I think the indie
that was the turning point.
That was the turning point. The indie game thing was another big a proponent of them kind of being disconnected. I mean, the funny thing is they were the people that gamers saw as being disconnected from gamers, and this year they came completely full circle, and they were genuine, and that was good. They weren't telling people what they wanted. They were telling people what they wanted. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't forced or anything like that. That being said, don't blow your load. Maintain your momentum, okay? Because you know what? It was only 2 years ago when people saw Sony more or less out of the game. I mean, and we don't want that to happen. You've got a lot of customers, and you could do exactly what Xbox did, and just
or what you
customers
did,
will always be there, or what you did originally. Keep on track.
Yeah.
Don't fuck up.
Yes, Trenton and crew came out, and Papa Big Daddy Jack, Big Daddy T came out, and he said all the right things in just the right tone of voice, and he let
just the right amount of giggling.
Yeah,
too.
but
I appreciated that.
Just the right amount of smirk on his face that he let the room feel like it was in control of all the excitement, and it wasn't like he was puppeteering anyone. It was like, hey, here's what the PlayStation 4 does. It doesn't have to be online, and everyone just was standing ovation for status quo.
So fun. It's so fun.
And it was just so amazing, and the only thing that Sony can do to ruin it is just to think that for them to act like they've won. Everyone out there is saying Sony won, Sony's on top. And if they act like they're on top and they're like, oh, well, now we can do this and now we can do that, and hey, you know, the world's our oyster, they can really just blow this whole thing sky high. And all those pre-orders that happened, 10 minutes after all that stuff was said, and as soon as the links went live, all of those pre-orders could just go away at any moment.
Yeah.
And then no one knows what they're going to do. They're like, oh, well, I don't want the Xbox and I don't want the PlayStation 4 because Sony just tricked me. So they've got the momentum, they got the drive going, and if they can keep that going to the holiday season, and I would hope afterwards, and just keep all the good faith going, Sony could redeem themselves from all the mistakes that happened with the PS3 and get people back to that PS2 time when everyone's saying, hey, I got this new game for the PS2. Hey, it would be the PS4 now, and that would be the system that everyone's buzzing about.
Yeah. They got an opportunity, and yeah, you're right. One, you hope they don't get cocky and turn back into who they were, or I mean, it's been really interesting to see the shift between Microsoft and Sony, and so you hope they're both learning lessons right now. I would also say keep your game lineup going. I don't know if you have that killer app yet. And full disclosure, I say this as someone that pre-ordered the PS4 right after the conference because I wanted to be a part of the zeitgeist, and I also know, I can cancel that thing at any time. But I wanted to be like show my support for what has just happened because you reached out to the audience that I care about. You reached out to gamers, and you reached out to indie developers. You reached out to everybody to make this accessible game console for the next generation, and you've got a good platform going forward. So don't mess that up. Also, follow up your games lineup. I hope that you got a couple good games slotted for 2014, but don't pull a Nintendo and let those slip, or let that stream of games die off, because you've got the opportunity to build a lot of momentum for the next couple of years, and you want to take advantage of that because Microsoft will come back, and we will be having digital rights conversations for years to come.
Yes.
And that will not be, that'll be a big deal, and I hope they have a plan for that as well, because I feel like Microsoft was trying to be future-proof and planned way too far ahead.
Yeah, they went very far.
And by playing it safe, Sony has won out of the gate. Yeah. But I also think that they probably have a plan for the next couple of years, but reinforce the importance of that. So
yeah, I think it seems more important at this point in time. You want to penetrate the market before you go telling everyone, oh, here's how we're going to stop people from stealing games, and things are going to be all online now. And that's what's scary. You're getting too far ahead of the gamers buying your system. Mm-hmm. And not everyone out there is a thief at all times, but don't scare away your market before that system is even on their TV stand.
Mm-hmm. All right. Final thoughts as far as just any predictions of what you think we'll be talking about going into E3 next year related to any of these three companies?
Is Nintendo dead yet?
Okay.
Yeah, I think people are going to be making comparisons between Nintendo and Sega. I really do.
Yep. You think that'll? That I wouldn't actually be surprised if that does kind of steal the headlines. It's more of, we've recovered from the launch of Microsoft and Sony, and you kind of expect them to just kind of keep building on whatever momentum they have. But like the real, that's a good question mark for 2014.
This holiday season is crucial, absolutely crucial to Nintendo, and I'm not really sure if they know. I mean, I think there's probably a few analysts that know in Nintendo. No one's listening to them, so I mean, really, shit.
What's Nintendo doing? All right, cool, gentlemen. Thanks for wrapping up E3 with me. Chat, thanks for hanging out, and we will be back with our normal podcasts next week. That's it for E3 2013. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye.
See you at the after party.